an up-and-coming children's book author, publishes a book about grief almost a year to the day that her husband unexpectedly passed away. However, prosecutors allege that while she'd been promoting her book on television and giving the appearance of a grieving widow, Richins had been hiding a sinister lie all along, that she had poisoned her husband. Today, we'll be discussing the recent developments in the ongoing case of Kouri Richins. This case brings us to the sleepy towns in Utah's Wasatch Mountains, which are quickly transitioning from being primarily agricultural communities to upscale, large home communities. Residents of these towns, like the Richinses, who are first and second time homebuyers, enjoy easy access to skiing, hiking trails, and the alpine lakes of the nearby Uinta Mountains. The Richinses reside in a brand new subdivision in Francis, a town located about 50 miles to the east of Salt Lake City. Eric was from a large, prominent local family with relatives involved in local politics and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. According to a former co-worker who spoke to CBS station KUTV, he first met Kouri Richins while she worked at a nearby Home Depot where he frequently went shopping. Since Eric's passing, there have been numerous legal disputes between Kouri and the Richins family over the house in Francis, immediately suspecting his wife of being involved in foul conduct. But before all of that, they were a happy couple that had welcomed 3 sons, aged 6 to 10, leaving Kouri to move on from her cashier job to work in real estate. The family appeared to be thriving in the sleepy town they had moved into. They resided in a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home on a nearly 5,000 square foot lot worth more than $1.1 million. They loved travelling and the better things in life. According to his obituary, Eric owned almost every motorised toy possible, from 4-wheelers and side-by-sides to trucks and snowmobiles. He spent countless hours coaching and teaching the boys to play aggressive and give it their all. A sentence from Eric's obituary stated, "Eric truly cared about every single child he coached and wanted the absolute best for all of them." He loved his sons, and when it came to his wife, Kouri, he described her as the love of his life and wife of 9 years. However, even well before his untimely passing, court records claim that she was one person in Eric's life that he definitely couldn't trust. From the evidence provided by his relatives, investigators learned that Eric had raised concerns about his wife's former attempts to poison him, including one that occurred whilst they were on holiday in Greece a few years before. He remained at the same house to be with his 3 young boys, despite the concerns, according to the family's attorney. In Greece, Eric once reportedly fell violently ill after Kouri handed him a drink. This is according to an affidavit. Later, Eric called his sister to say that he believed Kouri had attempted to poison him. "I was told by Eric's family members that they suspected his wife had something to do with his death," Deputy Jamie Woody wrote. They advised him to warn them that if anything happened to him, she was to blame. One piece of the puzzle is that there were many indications that Kouri was planning on committing financial fraud. The investigators found that Eric's concerns had grown in the months before his passing. In addition, the search warrant document states that he was looking for a divorce and wanted his kids taken care of. He had changed the beneficiaries of his life insurance and will from his wife to his sister. In January of 2022, Eric's wife logged into Eric's life insurance policy agreement with his business partner and changed them from each other's beneficiary to her as the only beneficiary, a search warrant from 2022 noted. They were notified by the insurance company and able to change it back. It is claimed that although Eric was thinking about getting a divorce, he decided to stay because he wanted the best for his boys. However, the pair spent Valentine's Day 2022 with dinner at home, which is when Eric once again became very unwell. The records show that Eric thought he'd been poisoned. he had confided in a friend that he believed his wife was attempting to off him. Prosecutors assert that she did just that. Court records state that between December 2021 and January 2022, Kouri had gotten in touch with a friend who had a drug conviction and asked them to get some pain medication for an investor who had a back injury. According to the records, the acquaintance obtained hydrocodone pills from a dealer and left them at a residence Kouri was flipping in exchange for money. But about 2 weeks later, Kouri contacted them once more, saying the investor wanted something stronger and asked for, quote, some of the Michael Jackson stuff, specifically for fentanyl. Kouri paid $900 for 15 to 30 fentanyl pills 3 days before Valentine's Day, according to the records. She returned to the acquaintance 2 weeks later and requested another $900 worth of the same medications. The pills were reportedly deposited at the Midway's house outdoor fire pit where Kouri had left money. A fentanyl overdose claimed Eric's life 6 days later, and Kouri quickly closed on the Midway property they'd supposedly been fighting over. Relatives felt Eric was about to inform his wife he didn't want to buy the house. Disgustingly, she had thrown a party at her house the day after he passed away to commemorate the real estate transaction, according to the court records. However, Eric luckily had one vengeful kick from the grave awaiting her. Her husband never told her that he'd removed her from his will, and it was only celebrating at the fateful party that she finally found out. Despite this, she tried her best to drain as much money as she could out of the situation, and Kouri relisted the 2,000 square foot house for sale. The property, which had a $3.75 million asking price, is currently under contract, according to realtor Mike Malmrose. Kouri Richins hired a locksmith to drill open Eric Richins' safe on March 6, 2023, removing between $125,000 and $165,000 in cash. When the sister of Eric Richins confronted her, stating that there was a trustee and Kouri Richins could not enter his safe, Katie allegedly received a punch to the face and neck. The family of Eric filed a petition on May 10th to enact Utah's Slayer statute, which forbids accused from making money off of their crimes. As of May 12th, Kouri's legal counsel had not yet replied to questioning. Questions still remain. Why did a seemingly happy wife, living in picturesque mountains with a loving family, do all of this? Was it purely out of greed, or was there an underlying motive? Well, the family suit claims that Kouri started having major financial issues in 2016 and began covertly stealing money from Eric to flip property. He learned, however, in September 2020 that she had cashed checks from his company for her own use, taken at least $100,000 out of his bank account and spent $30,000 on his credit cards. She also used his power of attorney to obtain a loan of $250,000, according to the family's petition. Before being charged with murder, the newly widowed woman had already engaged in civil court disputes with her in-laws. Following Eric's passing, his sister, Katie Richins Benson, officially took over his estate by filing court documents, but Kouri objected and later sued Eric's sister in a separate legal action. Nevertheless, despite all of the looming financial and legal problems, Kouri was working on another project at the same time, one that was apparently motivated by her own loss and involved authoring a children's book about dealing with grief. Are You With Me was published in March of 2023. The grieving Kouri had no problems at promoting herself and her breakout children's book, having made an appearance on nearby television stations just last month.
You know, I just watched the struggle that my kids were going through, and I actually, I went on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and trying to find something that we could use to cope at nights. Nights are the hardest, it seems like, for everybody when, dealing with anything, but I just wanted some story to read to my kids. at night. And I just could not find anything. I couldn't find anything that really, suited them or helped them find comfort and peace. And so, I was like, let's just write one.
By May 12th, both Kouri's Facebook page and the book's Amazon page had been deleted. 1 month before the day that would have marked the 10-year anniversary of Eric and Kouri's wedding, it's not difficult to believe that her relatives, along with many others who knew the pair, were still in disbelief. As this case is still ongoing, many details seem to surface almost daily. It's important to keep in mind that all these details are alleged before Kouri is formally put behind bars. It must be extremely difficult for the 3 poor boys left to their own devices after the passing of their father, and out of a home after seeing their twisted mother charged with such a heinous crime. The picture-perfect lifestyle that their friends and loved ones thought the Richinses had was shattered in mere moments. The most harrowing part about this case is the overconfidence of Kouri to go as far as to throw a party a day after Eric's passing, and to release a children's book about grief to sell to the other families going through terrible times. I would like to close by saying rest in peace to Eric. May all the love you showed the world be given back to your children in this time that they need it the most.